What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the O Show. We are presented by TickPick.com. Use that promo code capital OSHOW20. That's OSHOW20 for $20 off your next order. A lot of sporting events, a lot of concerts, business seminars. I mentioned WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood this weekend at SoFi Stadium. So use that promo code capital OSHOW20 to get $20 off your next order. The number one ticket marketplace based in New York City that allows no hidden fees. It's episode 650 of the podcast. We got Rio and Tom and Rio, a couple of entrepreneurs, a couple of fathers. Thank you so much for joining me today. We were going to do this last week in Vegas, right? And then a few things led. I got to meet Rio at the business seminar at the mastermind hosted by John Malott, which was awesome. Got the invite from Tom Delaney here, so thank you very much, sir, for allowing me to meet so many great, talented and driven minds. I don't think I've ever been surrounded by so many. Like, obviously you've been in business forever. You've said that this is one of like your top 2 or 3 most favorite business seminars that you've been to. Just like the intimacy, only having like 35, 40 people there, I thought was really cool to be able to connect with everybody in the room. Everybody that was just like so hungry and passionate to get to know one another.
Exactly.
Like it was really, really cool. You brought your daughter as well, which was really cool. You got to fly on the private jet there. Yeah. What kind of experience is that?
I mean, it's cool. You put yourself in these situations. So on that specific flight, we sat next to a couple. They were older, probably in their 60s, I believe. But I mean, they were doing like $50 million a year. So you get to, put yourself in those arenas where you get to talk to high level people. And so it's worth it just for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is. But the experience overall, I mean, come on, dude. It was nice.
It's like no other, right?
Yeah.
And you're working with Real Financial as well as a few different companies with the Alpha Army as well.
Correct.
You guys can follow them on social media. Tom here's with Real Solar as well.
Correct. Yep.
Huge in the solar game.
Well, Real Solar's growing. Yeah. It's a company that Brad Lee started, so it's it's growing. We started the Real Solar Army, which is a division in the company, which we're trying to grow that and get some momentum behind the Army and recruit and get into virtual sales. So that's kind of the role we're taking. And I'm also still 23 years in the pool business, building pools. Yeah. Partnered with a great company called Omni, and that company's growing. And then I got a few other little projects on the side that I'm working on. So,
the more projects you have, the more money you're going to make, right?
Yeah, that's the
idea.
At
least in the long run, that's the idea.
Well, you spend a lot of money in the beginning with these projects, and then you hopefully make money in the end. So yeah.
But I feel like once you have the vision, like just having the passion behind that vision, nothing else really matters. Like you're giving a lot of money now, but like at the end of the day, it's all going to come back around. Because you have the plan and the vision already laid out.
Yeah, failure's not an option.
Yeah.
You start off to do something, and you know you're going to do it. You're not afraid to put the money into it because you know you're going to be successful with it. So, and there's been a lot of businesses in my life where I've been starting businesses since I was in high school. I started a wheel company in high school selling wheels, custom wheels to my friends, and I would drive up to Phoenix, buy them at a warehouse, sell it to them, and then they'd go and get it installed. But, there's been a lot of businesses in my life that I've started and failed, and that's okay. I'm okay with that because every single business I've learned something from it, and it's made me better on the next one. So now I'm at a point in my life where I'm able to, I've been successful in the pool industry for a while now. I can build a business in solar and do it the right way and get around the right people and partner with the right people. And I don't have that burden of how I'm going to pay rent this month because I've already got that covered. So it's like it's been a great way to build a business for once in my life rather than trying to do it where I'm racing around trying to get bills paid every month. So
now when you talk about having failed businesses, like failure is a part of success. Failure is a part of being an entrepreneur, so on and so forth. Like when you guys talk about, I know you've started 4 or 5 businesses, right? Successful ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's always going to be ones that you look back on and be like, oh, that failed, right? You just talked about it right there. How do you know, like nobody wants to talk about this, how do you know when it is a failed business and when to give up on that certain business? Not that you want to give up on it, but it's like, how do you know when it's like time to hang it up and that there's better opportunities out there?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, really there's a lot of ways. I mean, obviously the financial burden could be there where you just can't continue. Mm-hmm. You're not making enough money to support it. I mean, that's one way. I mean, there's also like, especially when you're younger, you get in, you say yes a lot. Everybody, oh, hey, let's do this together. Let's do this together. And say, yes, let's do it. Yes, yes, yes. Just because it sounds good. And then, you get in there and you realize that, okay, maybe this wasn't the greatest idea. You don't like it as much, or you can't add the value that you hoped for. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do that, or it was just a bad partnership. People, I've had that too. People doing shady stuff, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be a part of this. So, that for me, I mean, a lot of reasons, but yeah, those are the most.
Yeah, same. And then you can also too, I think when you go into a business, and you think it's a great idea, and then it turns out not to be such a great idea, and there are people, maybe there's not a need for what you thought was going to be popular. Market shifts. So, and then you start to just lose the passion for it. Once you lose the passion for it, it's just nothing but a money pit at that point. So you have to just stop the bleeding and figure out a different direction to go. So, and also that partly comes with maturity, When I was 17 selling wheels to my friends, I thought that was a cool thing to do in high school, but I didn't make any money doing it, really. I was probably wasting money driving up to Phoenix to get the damn wheels picked up. So but and then as you start to mature and you start to kind of follow your path in life, you start to figure out what you really want to be doing, and then you get around other people who are successful at something, and they rub off on you a little bit, and you're like, you know what, I could do this with you, and so that's kind of how it develops. But I think once you lose the passion for anything that you're doing, it's not a business anymore. It's dead.
On that note, then, how do you know when like a passion is? Well, there's a difference between completely losing passion for something and just kind of being burnt out in the moment. As you've probably experienced, working days on nights, 20 hours, 23, 24 hours a day. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you're just tired. How do you know when it's like time to give it up, or when it's just like, oh, I'm just tired, I just need to make like a shift in mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through that many times. I mean, just literally, especially in the beginning, I'm a small town boy, come from Globe, Arizona, mining town. So if you know anything about the mines, it's usually 12-hour or longer shifts. I started out where, I had to do that. I had a family from a very young age. So I would be working 12, 16-hour days, and then I would get home, and then I would literally go to work on my self-education for, until 2, 3 in the morning. And then when it turned into a business finally, or what I thought was a business, it would be the same thing. I would work my regular job, then go work this job, and, we're all human. I mean, there's going to be a time when you just can't do everything that you expected, or maybe something didn't turn out, or it was harder than you thought. And if you can't build it to the point of where you can maybe hire your first person to help you out, to take a little bit of the load off you, or partner with somebody, strategic partnership, then yeah, sometimes some things don't work. I mean, I feel like, potentially early on, maybe I had some good ideas for businesses, but I just, I was just too burnt out to continue. Maybe they would have been great businesses. I feel like they would have. I have one business that, I don't even know, maybe I was 20, around there, 20, 21, 22, something like that. Anyways, long time ago. So I trademarked a name. It was Strength in Numbers. And that was a clothing company. I'd started it. I had, I'd kind of had some early wins with it, and then it kind of fell back. Early wins with it, fell back. Anyways, I was just burnt out. I didn't have, any more energy to continue doing it. So apparel business is a hard business. I ended up letting the trademark go. It was, I believe, around 30 days after I lost that trademark. The Golden State Warriors took it. And it was the playoffs. I can't remember. It was probably 5-6 years ago, maybe more. I'm watching the playoff game, and they got Strength in Numbers, the T-shirts they gave to everybody in the stands.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, what? Like that's mine. Like, oh, dude. So clearly it was a good idea on some level, but I didn't have what it took to
So you
execute.
said you did trademark it, though.
Yeah, I
So
had
what
a trademark.
happened? Obviously, they're the Golden State Warriors, and at the time, I think that was when they still had Kevin Durant, and they were going through that whole dynasty.
Yeah.
They won like 4 out of 6 years, but like, how did they just take it?
So I lost it. So this is part of, learning as well. So whenever you have a trademark, there's a certain point, I believe it's 6 years once you have it, you have to send a paper in stating that you are still using the trademark. Mm-hmm. If you do not do that,
vacate it.
Yeah, you vacate it. and it's done. And that's what happened. It was 30 days after I lost it.
That's a tough,
free, buddy.
yeah, dude. That's a tough lesson to learn.
So even though I wasn't doing anything with the business for a while at that point, I didn't know that it wasn't mine anymore. And basically I'm like, I'm rich.
Yeah.
Like I got these guys, man.
Yeah.
And turns out I lost it like 30 days prior.
Oh, so your initial reaction was, oh my God, I'm set for life.
Right. I'm like, I'm
Wow.
getting it, man. They're right. I'm going to have floor seats to every game. Like that didn't work.
And that right there is the life of an entrepreneur. Upsets, failures, shoulda, woulda, coulda, missed opportunities. It happens to all of us,
Blood, sweat, tears. That's the tears right there.
That's the
That
tears
is
part
an
of it
example
right
of the
there.
tears.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a tough lesson to learn. I can't even imagine. Like that doesn't even like hit you like, oh, there's times where you're starving, times where you're heartbroken. Like that's just frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Like a technical thing.
Yep.
Screwed you over.
Yeah, it was tough. I reached out to some lawyers. I wanted to see what I could do, but at the point it wasn't worth it. And it's like, come on, am I going to go up against Golden State Warriors? Like they'll crush me. So.
Do you guys think it takes, like, for example, that lesson, you understand, okay, trademarking, now I know, like every 6 years I have to do that, that specific example. Do you think you have to go through those experiences of being hit hard, whether it be like little things like that or, big money investments to really know like, okay, I learned my lesson there. That can't happen again. Or at least I know next time now how to adapt, right? Or do you think that things can be learned in a book?
I mean, no. I think a little bit of both, but I mean, definitely the strongest, the lessons that are going to get tattooed on your heart are the ones that you go through. 100%. I mean, go through or grow through, whatever you want to.
Yeah, you can read about somebody else's problems or you can just go through your own.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, the biggest lessons learned are when you experience them yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No doubt.
What is the worst lesson that you guys learned that you benefited most from, each of you?
Worst lesson that you benefited most from?
Like the one that stung the most.
I mean,
I've had a lot of stingers.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of stingers,
Yeah,
but most of that's from making poor decisions,
Yeah.
A lot of bad decisions and thinking I knew what was the best, the best way to go when really I should have been listening to other people. So I think not listening and making my own decisions, which were poor decisions for about the span of about 10 to 12 years, which really set me back.
Yeah.
There's been, it's almost like I created a pattern in my life where I wanted to burn things down and be at the bottom of the barrel again, just to climb my way out of it, to put myself at the bottom again. It was almost like a game that your mind starts to do because your mind gets used to just, this is a pattern of your life. And
fear of success.
Yeah, it was absolutely a fear of success. Yeah, and that's something that, being around Rio taught me a lot, is to, feel that you're worth it, that you're worth what you say you are, worth what you think you are, and actually truly believing that.
Yeah.
Not just saying it, really believing that you're worth $100,000 a month.
And that's a big difference right there. That's a big differentiator of, you can say it all you want, but do you really believe it? Like, do you really believe it in there? And until you believe it in there, like for real, in your heart, for real, it's never going to happen.
Right.
Do you think it takes some result in order to feel that for real? Or do you think the mindset alone and surrounding yourself with those people that have done it?
Look, that's a tough one because, look, in the beginning of starting anything, you really don't have any results, but you still have to believe in your mind that, like, no, this is going to work. Because if you don't have that belief, then what are you really doing? It's almost guaranteed not to work. But so yeah, there's that fine balance in the beginning of starting something where you have to have a certain amount of belief just to get you maybe your first small win, so that you can get to the next small win until you really get to the to what you were going for there.
Yeah. For people listening who want to be entrepreneurs but are just starting out, like you said, like starting out, not easy. You have to have grit. You have to have the determination, the mindset to say, like, I believe in what I'm doing, and in the long run, it's going to work out for me. In your guys' experience, for people that hear, like, oh, starting out, it's going to be tough. What is that starting out period for those listening?
Like length of time?
Length of time before you see any sort of positive result.
I mean, look, dude, that could be,
that could vary,
that's going to be
right?
different from everyone. For For me, so I'll take John Malott. Like he tells his story about, it took, I think it was 7 years before he cracked 100,000.
Right.
It took me like between 12, 13 years to do that, and I've been watching other people do it, and I'm just like, I know I'm as smart as these guys. I know, but whatever reason, and I could probably pin it down to not believing it, not fully believing it in my heart, in my mind, that it wasn't happening for me. So, I mean, really, it just depends on the person. I mean, it could be a year, it could be 15 years. So
Yeah. Do you think it depends on you influencing someone else too, getting someone to believe like, oh, Rio is worth it. Oh, Tom is worth it in what he's doing. Like his idea here is worth investing in. Because a lot of people have great ideas but aren't ever discovered at all, let alone like that 12, 13 year period. Yeah. There's some people who have ideas out there that nobody's willing to take the chance on. Yeah,
I mean, that to me, though, that's a dangerous game because when you're trying to get somebody else to believe in you, most people aren't.
Yeah.
And that affects a lot of people where it shuts them down. And there's a lot of good, like you said, great ideas out there, great entrepreneurs out there that never got their start because they believed what somebody else told them. So, I mean, it starts with you. Like you got to start with you. You got to have the belief in you. You got to be your, your own best friend, if you will, the one that's giving yourself the pats on the backs in the beginning until you get to the point where everybody else is wanting to give you the pats on the back.
Yeah. And that's really the only way to avoid disappointment.
Yeah.
If you only rely on yourself, and I've learned this, especially in the last couple of years, and I tell it to Rio all the time, like I need to start doing moves for myself now and not worry about what other people think about it, not worry about how it's going to, if people are going to think it looks stupid that I'm doing this or laugh at it, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is what I need to do to move the needle towards my goals and get to that point. And that right there is what's, that to me is what sets you up for success rather than just sitting around wondering if this guy's okay with me doing that. What do you think of this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No one else is paying your bills at the end of the day.
Nobody else is paying your bills.
Right?
That's right. Everybody's going after their own pot of gold, so you need to tune out the noise and stay laser focused on what that goal needs to be in accomplishing that goal. And then you go from that goal to the next one.
Yep.
Yeah, and everybody has their own motives, and that's dangerous too because even you guys have all heard this, but like some of your biggest critics are the closest people to you, family, friends. So, but even friends or whatever it is, it's like they have their own motives. Like, you're trying to tell them all this, dude, this is what I'm doing. This is gonna be great, blah, blah, blah. And it's like they just want to hold you back, bring you down because they can't do it or they don't believe in themselves enough to do it. So they want to hold you where they are. So, yeah, that's just a dangerous game all the way around playing that, depending and going to other people to get their opinions. You just have to be very careful on who you get opinions from.
Was it difficult surrounding yourself with people? Because we talked about it like right before we hit record too, about like certain frequencies and surrounding yourself with people who have that similar mindset that want that abundance. As opposed to like family members or close friends or like relationships that'll tell you like, oh no, like this is fine. Some people are okay with clocking in, clocking out, being home by 5:30, having those 3 weeks of PTO, whatever, making a few $1,000s a month, right? Which is fine if that's the way they want to live their lives. But surrounding yourself with people who have that abundance mindset before the age of social media, starting some of these businesses, was it tough finding people who had that similar frequency? Because with social media, you could just DM anybody you want and connect with people.
Right.
But
I honestly, I couldn't tell you because, by nature, if you will, like I'm an introvert. So, and I think that's part of what took me so long to actually, get to where I was starting to get some success. I was a hard worker always. But, I was always, I never really reached out to anybody to ask for help. So I really wouldn't know how it was. Now, yes, it's a lot easier with social media. But honestly, and I've, I don't know if I've told you this story, but like honestly, John was the first mentor that I ever had, that I allowed myself. And it took a lot. Like I'm not that guy that's going to go reach out to other people. It takes a lot for me to do that. And for whatever reason, I went to a few of his Build Your Empire events back then, and I don't know, I connected with him the most, and I just started slowly building that relationship over time to where, you know, he got to where he could see that he could trust me. I'm going to be around. I'm going to show up. And one day I got a phone call from him, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I need your help on this thing." I'm like, "Dude, let's go." And it's, you know, we've been good friends ever since then. And, you know, I've told this story a few times. I believe it was 13, 14 months, somewhere in that time span around there, that after partnering with him, that I made my first $1 million, and I made it in 2 months. So I can't preach enough how much I believe in mentorship and getting around the right people. And look, I got basically free mentorship from John because I was his partner in the Empire Builder program, where every week he would, just mentor people, teach people how to do all these things. So I got that for like 12 months, basically for free. And that was great. There's tons of nuggets, obviously, and just getting to be around him. But there's not like really one thing that I could say like, oh, I got that, and that's what did it. It was just being in proximity to him and seeing how he thinks, how he believes about money, how he operates differently within that really just shifted that within my mind, and seeing that he's just a normal dude. Like, you know, I'm made up in my mind, like, you know, rich people, they're different. They're, you know, they got some different DNA or something, but it's like getting to be around him, his friends. It's like, dude, these are just regular dudes, man. They just went for it. They just believe a little bit differently. And whatever it was, that's what helped me kind of get to the next level and break through the glass ceiling that I was at.
And just being around him day in and day out, like
Yep.
I could be around him for 3 days at a mastermind event and be inspired and be
It's
influenced,
infectious.
right? But like if you're
success is infectious.
if you're around those people day in and day out and learning and just being there, like sitting there quiet, like take it all in, be a sponge at first, and then like if you have an idea, maybe pitch it. And
personal development is so important. Like once I got into mindset and personal development about 4 years ago and started following all these kind of guys like Ed Mylett and Brad Lee and John Malott, I didn't put any money in, I didn't invest any money in myself. Right? Like I was too busy with my own problems all day long to figure out how to spend money on myself. So, but once I started getting, going down that road and going to mastermind events, going to driven event, whether it be coaching groups online, like Brad's got a mentoring program, coaching program called the Crash House, which I'm a member of. Yep. So like, I started investing in myself, and that was probably the best money I've ever spent on anything so far. Was putting money into to learning from guys like this and being around them and buying yourself proximity to them, basically is what you're doing. So, and you keep showing up and you keep going to the events, they start to recognize you and see you there. And then when you DM them, they reply back because they've seen you at their events and they know you're spending money and you're learning. So that's, like, I would say that's probably the number one thing anybody looking to change the game for themselves should do, is focus on their mindset and personal development, and then go find what attracts you. Go get around the people who have what you have and are doing what you want to do.
Yeah. What were some of the things for you specifically, Tom? Because I even talked to John about it, about like breaking bad habits, forming good habits. Like how obviously it takes a long time. I think they say like on average like a 21-day period.
It took me 10 years.
But like, what were
that
the
21-day period
things?
took me 10 years to break bad habits.
What were the specific things that you used to kind of help mold those good habits? So, like right before we came on, I was talking about cold plunging, right? Like, if I'm in a bad mood or in kind of like a groggy mood, immediately just throw myself into the ice cold water. It's like, all right, I'm fired up, I'm good to go. Like, completely different mindset. Like, what were some of the things that you used?
For me, I think the biggest thing was to quit driving around looking at what other people had and where they were at in life, and like, oh man, if I drove that, if I drove that Mercedes, my life would be better, and like it was kind of like that poor me mindset. Even though I like had, intervals of success, but I would kept losing everything and then build it up and lose everything. It was, I think, just the watching people have things that they were working hard for, but felt like, oh man, that guy's got, like, oh, they fly on private jets and all that. Like, God, why can't that be me? Once I stopped thinking like that and started saying that is going to be me, and I will drive nice cars and I will fly on private jets and do that kind of, even though I don't, but I'm saying that's the mindset change started, and it allowed me to start attracting things, and business became a little easier. Sales got better, getting around the right people started to get a little bit easier. So I think for me, it was definitely just to not to stop paying attention to what everybody else had. Yeah, you can use it as motivation, but it wasn't motivating me. It was hindering me. So that was, for me, I had to get rid of that.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you didn't have what they had.
Right.
You bitching and complaining about it wasn't going to make it
Bitching
any
and
better,
complaining
right?
wasn't getting it for me, yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like you're going to be excited about the possibility of having that in the future, and now you're looking at everything as an opportunity as opposed to like, oh God, I got to go do this.
And now a couple of years later, after I've really kind of made that shift. Now, like I love to see it. Like I want all my friends to have the best cars and to have the best houses and the wives that are happy and families that are happy. Like I want that for everybody around me, So like I cheer for it now, whereas before I used to look at it like, oh, why can't I get like that, Well, it's because I'm fucking up my own life, Like hello, like I had to look at myself as the problem, not everything else around me. So
Exactly. You don't strike me as an introvert. He says he's an introvert.
right, I'm opposite. Yeah.
What do you guys think makes an extrovert and an introvert? Like, because you see successful introverts, successful extroverts. Like, none of that really matters. I think maybe like growing up in school, it's difficult being an introvert, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up an introvert. I started a talk show. I know how to talk. Still kind of an introvert. What do you think, like, that stems from?
What it stems from, I don't know. Probably, I mean, I know a lot of it is upbringing.
Yeah.
Definitely. I've definitely learned that probably in the past. My son is 8, just turned 8. I have 5 kids, and I have 3 stepchildren. But my first 3, I had my first child when I was just barely 18 years old. I had 3 children before I was 24 years old. I was young. I was still learning. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to figure it out. So, unfortunately for them, they didn't get, the best of me. But what I see now is with my I have a daughter that's 5 and a son that's 8. I literally brainwash these kids every night. Like I'm brainwashing success in them. And it's crazy to me the power in it. Like doing these things, we have, little rituals that we do every night before they go to bed. I can, I will, I must, all these different things. And then over time, how they talk about things, how their teachers say, yeah, they were talking about this, like I can, I will, I must, and how they speak differently. So I know it's a lot of that, obviously, whether it's DNA as well, whatever. My son is definitely an introvert. I got him in basketball right now. Like he pretty much cries every day right now, because he's so in turmoil. Like he's so, when other people come around, and I'm like, I remember that. I remember feeling, I still feel that way a lot. I'm not good in like crowds, but I knew to get where I needed to be, I had to work through some of those things, or I just had to just take it, like get over it and make a move. But for me, I think it's really that in terms of business. Like I'm not a guy that can just go up to anybody and start small talking. I can't do it. I freeze up, everything locks up, I got nothing. But I'm also a guy that builds deep, like really, bonded relationships with people when I do. So the people that I do connect with, like they're tight bonds. So, like whereas him, first time I met him, I mean, this guy's just talking to everybody, just, he's loud, he's there. And I'm just like, and those type of things, honestly, they're intimidating to me sometimes because I'm just not that way. And I'm like, and not that I can't learn more and get better. Yeah. Absolutely I can. But the way I get around that is I get people around me like him. I get people around me like these guys who they go do that work for me, and then they tee me up, and then I could take it from there. So that's how I operate within that.
That's smart.
Yeah, I wish I was a little bit more introverted.
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. So I mean, just because I think sometimes I make a lot of wild decisions, and just I'm like very fast paced, go, like. Like it's like 120 miles an hour all the time with me. And I wish I could slow it down sometimes because I think I make a lot of bad decisions going too fast, So, and that's also too, I having like Rio as a friend as an opposite, you know, I can call him and get his perspective on something, you know, before I go and do something dumb, you know? So it's kind of, you know, it's a good thing to be an extrovert, I think, but it also does work against you a little bit sometimes, depending on what room you're in and who you're around. So I'm learning now to be kind of a little bit careful with that and try to tone it down a little bit to whatever the room temperature is.
Yeah.
And
got to be a chameleon almost.
You got to almost be a little bit of a chameleon, because you don't want to be the only guy go, and you're wearing out everybody in the room, you know?
Oh, that's the worst. At least like you're like pitching ideas left and right. You ever been to like Old Town Scottsdale and you have all those extrovert just party animals? Like those are the worst. Like as an introvert, those are the worst people to be surrounded by. That's where I'm just drained. I'm like, get me out of here.
Right. Yep.
But like at least you're like, oh, I have an exciting business venture I want to start. Can I pick your brain about it?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so crazy to see so many like John Malott strikes me as a total extrovert. Or his wife,
he's
introvert,
high wired
right?
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like look at Brad. Brad, very confident guy. He's an introvert though. He does not go out of his
laid
way.
back.
And maybe that's just like business, you know? Like I was talking to you about it last week. Like Brad's a guy where it's like, okay, like he really has to like shut off a certain part of his brain to like focus in and dial in on like what's in front of him, you know? You can't, like if you're getting all these different things thrown at you all at once, like you can't be all over the place and giving people all your time.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you get to that level. I mean, you know, everybody's trying to get a piece of your time, and you got to be very careful with that.
You're going on dropping bombs pretty soon, you said?
May 5th.
May 5th. So you got a date locked in too. You were just out in Vegas, right? At
We
Lightspeed?
Yep.
That building is unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%.
It is. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you guys about, and I kind of briefly mentioned it when you guys walked in, the idea, and I was watching a reel like right before I went to bed last night. I forget who the guy was on the platform, but he was talking about normalizing people just talking openly about money and making money with one another. We're like, it's kind of a stingy subject, kind of a fragile, sensitive subject when you talk to people about money and like how to make more money and how to like, obviously if you're like asking to borrow some money, I understand that's difficult, but like just the idea of like, how can I make more money? Like you seem like you're doing well, like normalize talking about making money as opposed to it being like a conversation that nobody wants to have. It's weird because everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to live the best lifestyle that they possibly can. Why is that such a stingy topic to talk about?
It's the only topic I like to talk about.
Yeah.
Is making money.
I agree with that. So I think to what he's saying there is, I think it just depends on the crowd that you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's maybe if you're talking about, you know, with people about like how much money do you make or things like that, you know, the ego gets involved. Nobody wants anybody to know. Everybody wants to keep it kind of like, you know, like we're, you know, think that you make more than me or I make more than you or whatever, you know, so I think there could be egos within that, but I think it's really just the crowd that you're in, because I agree with him. Like I said, I'm like an introverted guy. Small talk like kills me. I can't do it. But if you want to sit and talk about business, I'll talk with you for 12 hours straight. Like we'll just sit there, talk about business, money, how to make more, whatever it is, I'm game for that. So, just the crowd you're in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody that I'm surrounded by right now wants to make money, and as much of it as they can. So for whether I'm talking to Rio or, you know, anybody else in my circles, they're all going to have that same topic in their mind, and they're all going to share things that they're doing to make more money with each other, you know, and that's kind of nice. So if he goes and does something that made him $2 million tomorrow, I'm going to want to know what it is and how do I do it, you know? So, you know, I don't surround myself with people that want to talk about, you know, flowers and rainbows and unicorns
And the weather.
The weather,
God
like,
forbid.
I don't have time for any of that, to be honest with you
Yeah.
right now. Like, I'm on go mode right now. I'm on build mode. You know, like I've already fucked off for 15 years, man. I don't have a minute to waste if it's not about business and getting to where I want to be. So when I'm 50, I can ride off into the sunset, you know, and have all the money I need. So I'm going to give it a good 10-year run, and hopefully that does it for me. I'll still obviously run businesses and all that, but that's my goal, is to when I turn 50, I'll be 40 this year. When I turn 50, I want to be able to have enough money to not do anything I don't want to do.
Hell yeah. Now, when you first started surrounding yourself with people like that, because you talk about, just putting yourself in the right community, in front of the right people who want to talk about that stuff. Because I feel like everybody wants to talk about this stuff, but they're not necessarily surrounded by the right people. Like when you guys first started surrounding yourself with those people and in those groups and in those communities that wanted to talk about it, was it difficult making certain asks, or did you guys find it pretty easy?
Once I started getting into those crowds, and really it just started, like I said, through in the beginning, like Build Your Empire events. Then I started going to, there was a good 3-year span where like I was basically on tour for events. Like I was at every event because I couldn't get enough, and I wanted to continually, meet more people that were like-minded like me, and that I can get around and we could talk about these things and I could learn from. So, I feel like it's just, that's the best place to start is like events and stuff like that, because anybody who's going to pay money to go to this is probably going to want to, be similarly interested in those things.
Mm-hmm. And if you're paying all of that money to
Right.
attend that event, you better be making the most of it too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Which impressed me the most about John's event last week. Like I said, everybody went out of their way, introduced themselves to everybody. Like I don't think there was one person I didn't introduce myself with, that I didn't know, that I didn't get a phone number from and connected
right.
with.
Yeah, it's
which is
awesome.
rare to see.
It's awesome.
Honestly.
And that's nice about those intimate events, though, is because those to me are the best events to go to. It's because you're just right there rubbing shoulders with the people. They're not up on stage and they disappear and go hop in their helicopter and they leave and you never get to talk to them.
Right.
That's an intimate event where you can really use that to your advantage if you're up and coming, because where else can you be sitting next to these guys who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars and they're sitting there just talking with you like you're their friend, whereas these big events it's a little bit different. But I always say, like, I buy, I'll tell my wife, let's go to this event driven. She's like, well, you're going to get, let's get the VIP ticket. She's like, why do you even need to buy any seat? You're never sitting in the damn thing. You're always moving around, man. Right. It's like, I don't even sit in the seat, I'm always moving around, talking to people, like networking with people. Like that's what I go to those events for.
Mm-hmm. You always want your phone to be blowing up day in and day out with all of these different connections and all these different people that you could do business with down the line,
Yeah, or
especially today.
It's also nice to know too, so you can, like, if you want to connect with somebody, I might know somebody that can help you.
Yeah.
Or Rio needs a connection with somebody. Maybe I met that guy. Oh, I met that guy over at this thing. Let me give you his number.
You're why I'm here. So.
Well, it's just, but I like to connect just for that. Even if I don't make a connection with anybody with the first intent, like, how can I make money with this guy?
Yeah.
I do it because, number one, I want to be their friend. But number two, maybe I can connect them with somebody else that's going to help them, So that's how I look at all my connections. And then if it leads into making money together later on, great. If it doesn't, great. That's fine too,
Yeah.
I'm just happy to know these people and get to be, because for me, I'm like getting the benefit of it, I'm like the low man on the totem pole, I'm trying to work my way up. So any contact that I make, if I can help that person, I'm really the one benefiting by getting to be around those people and learning from them. So
you're a servant, but at the same time providing value for people that need it the most.
Yeah.
How can you tell, and this is a question for both of you, how can you tell the difference between connecting someone who is hungry and wants it and probably will pay it back in the long run? Like you said, it doesn't matter if you guys make money together or not. At the end of the day, it's about building the relationship. How do you know when someone's mooching off of a relationship versus someone who's looking to put in value in that relationship and grow it over time? Because there are those people.
Yeah, look, that's a tough one, man. I've been fooled a few times, so it's very hard sometimes because people are real fake sometimes and believable in that fakeness. So I've been fooled a few times on that, but yeah, I think just vetting people out a little bit more, having that relationship, building that relationship with them a little bit more before you're willing to pass them any of your network, just making sure you got a solid foundation and you genuinely know what they're about, what they stand for, morals, and all that.
Yeah, like people can make like big asks right away.
Oh, right.
Like, hey, Rio, can you hook me up with so-and-so? It's like, oh man, that's a big ask for someone I've known for 2
People
weeks.
reveal themselves too just by what they post on their social media and how they act. You can kind of get a vibe off of somebody and what they're about nowadays with how, now what they say, Instagram and stuff.
Shows the lack of
It's your new
intelligence,
resume
too.
now. Like,
Yeah.
so you gotta, you can kind of, I'm fortunate enough, I haven't had anybody try to mooch off of me because I got nothing to offer them. You know what I mean? It's like,
Not yet.
so,
We'll come back around to that question a few years.
Yeah, when
from
I'm a
now.
billionaire, I'll
See?
let you know where the mooches
Yeah.
are at. Yeah.
Because it is crazy, and you're right. Like the lack of intelligence for someone to just post them just like partying and doing dumb shit on social media. It's like, oh, that's the real you.
Yeah.
That's what you want to show people.
Right.
Which is so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a very private person. I know you're probably a very private person. Like business is business, and I use my social media to promote business, right? Promote whether it's like podcast reels or anything else. Like I'm not posting like me out at 4 a.m. in Old Town partying it up, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to, you know, who you're trying to attract around you. Like, look, social media is tough for me because, I am a private person, but look, I do a lot of cool shit. Like, and, you know, now that we've got a full-time video guy and all that, we're catching a lot of that. But, you know, like sometimes it feels awkward when I'm posting something. I'm like, man, am I too old for this? Like, what am I doing? But, you know, at the end of the day, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in attraction marketing, and you know, I could tell you 100 different stories right now on how it's worked. I got people reaching out to me every day. Hey, dude, I see what you're doing. Like, how can we be a part of it? You know, how can we do business together? I mean, that's basically kind of how we met. Basically how I met with some of the guys that are on my team now. So I know it works, and you know, down to like some really real stuff. So yesterday was my son's birthday. I posted, or the day before that, sorry. I posted this picture of us when I was driving. I took him for the first ride in my McLaren, and this was some years ago. And on that drive, like I had the top down, and it was such a like, just weird like deja vu moment where like I look over at him and I'm like, I've seen this before. Like I've seen this. Like it was so weird for me, and it, you know, kind of brought tears to my eyes a little bit. And I was like thinking about it, and I'm just like I saw all of this like in my dreams, in my imagination. I saw all this when I was a kid. Now, back then I thought it was gonna be with my middle daughter, Brooklyn, because she was kind of like my tomboy. We would just always look at Lamborghinis, like we loved it. You know, back when I was doing nothing, making nothing. But so you never know like the timeline, but like everything that I've imagined, everything that I've dreamt of and subsequently worked for, like I'm seeing all of it come to fruition right now.
Yeah.
It's all just little by little in its own time, it's happening, and I'm just like I knew this was how I saw this already. Like, so it's a crazy thing.
No.
So I absolutely believe in the law of attraction
With
and
you
attraction
100%.
marketing.
No doubt about it. It's true. Yeah, it definitely works. Yeah, I remember sitting with Rio at an event not too long ago with Brad was there actually, and I told Rio, I said, I sometimes think, Rio, that I might be living that dream that I had right now. Like I'm in the middle of it right now, you know, with my surroundings. Here I am with Bradley and Andy Elliott and hanging out with Rio. Like this is shit that I dreamed about 4, 5, 6 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Now I'm here, you know, like this is it. It's amazing what it can do. It's like those dreams used to just be out there, you know, I was looking at them. I didn't know how to get to them though. I didn't know the path to get to them. Now the path is crystal clear, and they're starting to get closer and closer where I can grab them and take them, you know? It's amazing.
Like the goal is always to manifest it, but sometimes you think when you are like 6 years down the road from doing something like that or like getting the McLaren, it's like it almost doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen. And when it does, it's like, oh yeah, this is why I put in all that grit and work for the last 2 decades.
It's a funny thing because like say when I got the McLaren, like don't get me wrong, like it was dope, it was cool, like I obviously loved it, but there wasn't like some crazy like holy shit, like this is insane. It's almost like I knew it was gonna happen already. Like I knew it, and when it did, same thing. First time, you know, like I said, I made $1 million in 2 months. Like there was no like celebration, there was no like, it was just like it was always going to happen. It was just win, and whether I had enough faith and work ethic to stick it out until it did. And thankfully for me, I did. And you know, coming from a blue collar background, like my work ethic, like nobody could ever question that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then my faith, you know, like that's strong as ever. And, you know, it all worked out. So.
I feel like that's the only way it can happen too. Because if you weren't ready, it's just something that you really wanted and really craved, and someone handed you $1 million in a 2-month period when you weren't ready. Say you were like in your late 20s, you're like, oh my God, like they gave it, like you'd have that rush of like, oh my God, like excitement and joy.
Right.
Or like, now you know I earned it. I have the experience.
Right.
I busted my ass. I deserve this. Not that big of a deal.
It's like all these people you hear about who win the lottery. You know, these are poor people previously to that. Those are mostly the people that buy lottery tickets. Then they win. Most of them, if you've watched that show that they've done about a documentary, it's like they all usually go back to zero because that's where they are here. And you know, yeah, when you earn it and you've been through it, you're much more likely to be able to keep it and hold on to it and build more off of that.
I mean, you see it with young, like even celebrities, like Justin Bieber fell off the horse multiple times, right? Because he was given everything as a kid, right? Where like you look at like a Leonardo DiCaprio, didn't win the Oscar until he was what, like 40 years old. And by the time he won it, he's like, it's not that big of a deal. To me. I'm already the
It's
best
because your
actor in the
maturity
world.
level starts to match up too
Yeah.
with these things. You know, so when you're 21 and you're broke, you look at a Lamborghini like, oh my God, a Lamborghini. But then when you're, 40 and you've been working your ass off for 20 years building businesses, a Lamborghini is like, cool, yeah.
It's like I
Throw it in
could
the
buy
garage.
that, but like why would
It's
I?
like, yeah, or if you do have one, that's your maturity levels in where you're at in life is matched up to that goal of having that Lamborghini, you know? So it's not like Rio's saying, it doesn't feel like, wow, my God, I can't believe,
Yep.
How do you guys go about as fathers kind of implementing like these, not just like maturity things that you guys have experienced over time? Because obviously you want to bestow all of your knowledge onto your children, and whether they take it and run with it is another thing, you know? Maybe like one will, the other will be like, whatever, Dad.
Absolutely.
You know, every kid is different. How do you go about kind of implementing these tools that you've learned onto your children, and how you kind of monitor it when they don't necessarily want to listen to it? Because no kid really wants to talk about business. Most of them do.
My kid does.
Yeah.
My son Max is like a little sales guy. He's
Really?
like a mini me. Yeah, he's always like Halloween hustling people for candy, or like the other day he bought I don't know, $30 worth of candy on Amazon. He had it sold, made $140 at school that day.
Nice.
Yeah, he's like a little
Jeez.
entrepreneur mindset. He goes around the neighborhood knocking on doors. Hey, can I clean your yard for $10? Like that's Max.
Nice.
Yeah, he just turned 14, and he wants to start selling solar as soon as he's 16. So like I'm gonna with my two biological children, I'm gonna try to keep them as close to me as I can for as long as I can with getting involved with businesses. My daughter Sarah's, she's only 10. Well, she's 11 now, but she just turned 11. She's not quite there yet. Like Max has always been the little hustler, sales guy type of personality, but I think just getting them around, I tell my kids point blank, you don't need to go to college. Don't let your mother feed you that bullshit because you ain't going. Like you need to start working with me now that I'm figuring things out and we're going places. Start working, with me. Keep staying close to your dad, and I'll make sure you're set forever. Because I'll teach you the work ethic you need to survive. And so that's where we're at with raising them. So
it's like you said, like all of my kids are very different. So and for a while, I did try to push like, don't go to college, don't do this, like just listen to me, do it my way, and none of them were doing it. And I had to realize that look, success looks different for everybody. So I'm a grandparent now. I have two grandsons, and my oldest daughter, she's, in terms of like business and that stuff, she's nothing like, she don't want anything to do with that. But it's like, these conversations that I have, we have a family chat and that we always, talk in. And it's like, look, success looks different to all of us. I want you guys to live a successful life, however that looks to you. Grayson, like she's born to be a mother. Like that's who she is. That's her being. She is a mother now. She's great at it. She loves it. And I'm like, look, be a successful mother. Like do everything, take the good things that you learned from your mom, from your dad, and implement those, and then learn, and then leave the bad stuff, and then learn new things, that you can implement with your kids. And to make them the best that they can be and hopefully they find their passion in life. But then I have like my daughter that came to John Malot's event. Like she's got like fire in her eyes. She wants it. Like she wants to be around the fire. She wants to be in proximity. And I mean, she lives it. I mean, she's up at 5 a.m. every day at the gym with me. I don't have to ask her. I don't have to go knock on her door and say, hey, get up, let's go.
That's
Nothing.
good.
She's up, she goes. She goes to work for half of the day and then she goes to school at night. Like she genuinely wants it and wants to live a better life, you know, than she had when she was younger. And she sees a lot of the things I'm doing, and you know, now it hasn't always been that way. You know, the private jet, like I could look in her eyes and see just like shit changing, like just like I want to live a better life. But you know, I think as especially say for me, you know, growing up the way I did, very conservative parents, very Christian parents, and it was just like this, always this, and you only know what you know. So I don't blame my parents by any means, but you know, it's this, you know, we're rich with love. And it's like you can't have love and, you know, money. Like you can't have them, and it's just like, I've always fought against that. I've never believed that. And I'm like, look, I want it all. Like I want to have, you know, the best family life, you know, the best relationship with my wife, best relationship with my kids. But I also want to have money, because money creates experiences, and that's what life's about, is experiences. But money also, you know, my legacy, you know, from my grandma, she passed away a few years back. It says, that's her writing. It says, I love you dearly. Her legacy was always helping people. Like her whole life, always help people. And that's who I am. And it's like, to me, it's like, well, how many people can you help with, you know, $100 in your bank account?
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
can't help too many people. So to me, it's like, look, man, I want to make the most money I can make, because I know I'm going to help a lot of people doing that, help change a lot of people's lives in doing that. So I know I got off a little tangent right there, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it means to me. I mean, just putting them around, you know, putting your kids in proximity to the things that you see, and it could change, that, you know, is going to help them grow. Like I said, for my daughter Reagan, who was there, she wants to be around the stuff I'm around, like Max. But some of my other kids don't. My stepson, like my stepson Tyler, like the kid rolls with me, dude. Like he would probably. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say that, but like the dude just rolls with me, man. Like we're down together. That's cool. He would go to war for me. But same thing. Like he likes what he sees. He wants to be around it. You ask him, hey, what are you going to do when you grow up? It's like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. Like, or I want to do what Rio does. That's cool. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer of that.
It's like, reminds me of the quote Grant Cardone says. He says, it's not selfish to want it all. It's intelligent.
Oh my God. That's how you create those moments and experiences with your family. Yep. And that's how you're able to provide for communities, is by having wealth.
Right.
So, isn't that crazy that 30 odd years ago, that's what everybody thought? Like money equal just like a villain mentality.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know, the Christian community, which I'm Christian.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, you got the Christian community, you know, the money is the root of all evil. Like taking that scripture out of context, because there's a lot more to it behind that. So, yeah, you know, and I think it's just, again, how certain people are raised. Like I was raised Baptist, which Baptist is hardcore. Like, you know, I'm not that anymore. I'm like non-denominational. Go to church every Sunday. That is a very, very important part of my life. But I don't judge anybody. I mean, you know, I'm down for everybody. Like, you know, I may not agree with you on certain things, but like, look, dude, I'm down for everybody. Unless you piss me off, then that's a different story.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
No holds barred after that.
Right.
No, it is, especially in this community with, you know, the Christian culture. It's like you do meet people who are really just open to connecting with anybody. It's like, I understand your story no matter what it is. And then there's some people who it's like, you're either with us or against us.
Right.
It's very tough. Another touchy subject that nobody wants to talk about. Right?
Yeah, the media doesn't help that, because I think there's a lot more people in the Christian community that are, you know, just loving, open people, you know, non-judgmental people than there are the other. So.
Yeah, I'm Christian too. I'm actually getting baptized next weekend, so
That's awesome.
You know,
Oh, nice.
Congratulations.
it's gonna be a whirlwind. I was baptized as a kid, grew up Catholic, but it wasn't my choice.
Right.
So it's like now it's like I'm a part of a cool community that I've been going to the same church for about 3 years now.
Nice.
Love the pastor, love the community. I'm like, now's the time.
And that's a decision that you're making
that's
for
a
yourself.
decision I'm making.
So
That's
there you
right.
go. Not
Yep.
somebody else made for you. You know.
Exactly.
Where are you going? Impact?
Pella Communities in Glendale, if you've ever heard
Oh,
of it.
okay. I haven't. I'm way on the other side of town.
Okay, I've been to Impact though.
Yeah.
Tremendous church.
Yeah.
But it's going to be something. It's going to be on Easter Sunday. I'm going to be doing it with a few friends.
That's awesome, dude.
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
It'll be quite
congratulations.
the experience.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys coming in. I know you guys got
you.
probably calls to make, and because like what was the quote Daniel G had? Always be doing business on your way to business.
Right.
Which was just glass shattering for me. I'm like, oh yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Like I do that anyways, but it's like I've never actually heard that saying out loud
Same.
before. Now I feel like I hear it every day on social media.
Exactly.
But where can the people find you too? Whether it be obviously with Real Solar, coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, we got the Real Solar Army, but then on social media, it's Tom Delaney Official on all platforms.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And you, Rio?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's Rio Osorio, RIOOSORIO, and or Official Alpha Army. That's our recruiting page.
Content creation. It's like the number one thing that you could do to grow a business these days, guys.
Yes,
But Rio and
is.
Tom, thank you so much for coming in,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Thank you.
I'm glad we finally got to do this
Yeah.
here in Phoenix. This was episode 650 of the podcast, guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV.